Great to hear from Father Michael Remery. He's the author of Tweeting with God. He joins us via Skype to talk about his book, which is based on questions that young people had posed to him. And I believe he's on a boat somewhere. Is that true, Father?
That's true. I'm in Zeeland in the Netherlands on a boat.
Excellent, excellent. Now, the book has some great endorsements. So maybe if you could tell us a little about the reception of the book so far.
Well, we have been amazed about the reception. It started in the Netherlands with a little group of young people with their questions. And those questions of one parish in the Netherlands seem to be the questions of everybody in the world. Because by now we're working on 15 translations in different continents of our world. It started in the Netherlands, as I said, then it spread through Europe, and now it has reached also the American continent. And I must say that we are amazed by the reactions in the United States and the way in which it has been welcomed.
Well, you know, it's a great format, and the connection, you know, that you make with UCAT is fantastic. Can you tell us about some of the meetings that were held in Leiden, where some of the young people asked some very, very challenging questions, so I hear?
Yes, well, it started at the back of the church, actually. The young people leaving Mass and then asking some questions. They discovered that we could have a good fight over some issues of the faith. And they had so many questions, I had to tell them, please write down your questions and send them in whatever way you want. And that I've known because they sent to me about 1,000 questions in different formats. So some arrived by Twitter, some through email, some on scratches of paper. And after ordering these a little bit, we started to discuss them. And they were very different questions, ranging from the Big Bang and how to connect that to the story of creation, to questions about our moral life and the way we have to act as Christians, to the question about suffering, why do we suffer if God is so loving, to a question about Jesus, why did he have to die on a cross in such a horrible way? Why not in another way? And many questions about prayer life, vocation, and many, many other topics. Too many to mention in this short issue.
And talk about that. You mentioned all these sort of big questions that you know, have been posed to you. How difficult is it to respond to these topics in a sort of you know, a concise and thorough manner?
Well, about any of these issues you can write many volumes, and throughout the ages theologians have been writing many, many volumes about just one issue. For example, about creation and the link to a story of creation, and the way to look at what science has discovered. Many, many volumes have been written, many resources have been undiscovered. So our job was to make sure that we were condensing it to the essence. And we were always looking for reasons. Why is it that the church is teaching that we still can read the story of creation, that it's not outdated, but then how to read it in connection to the Big Bang? And the answer is that we have to look behind the actual story which is written there, because there's a deeper level, and when you read it carefully, another deeper level. Speaking to the young people, we discovered that the only way to really deal with these issues on a global basis, trying to answer many questions that people have, you have to be brief and concise, and that's exactly what we try to do in the project. If you open the book, you will always see that one question is answered on a double page, no more. And this double page needs to give you the basic information that hopefully will invite you to continue to study about the subject. It will give you enough as an answer, and it will show you a bit of the logic of our faith. It will show how many things are connected, and in the end, how everything is connected to the love of God for each human being. But not just that argument, there's also reasonable arguments. We can look at science itself. For example, if you take the question of the Big Bang and look at the way science developed, you discover that the theory of the Big Bang has been put forward by a Catholic priest, for example. And you find that the church has been very much involved in science, in discovering how to speak about the faith, how to understand the world in which we live, and how to connect that then to biblical issues. That's what we did with every question. We tried to really find the way in which to relate about important questions of the faith in a very brief manner, but also in a very clear manner. That is what Tweeting with God is about.
Excellent.
Now, I want people to know that you're very close and friends with our good friend, Father Roderick, who's also from the Netherlands. And can you tell us just a little bit about yourself, Father Michael? And I realize I'm Americanizing your name, but not only you are our first guest from a boat, but you certainly have the theological and technical background to write a book like this. Just tell us a little bit about your own personal history as a priest, your involvement with the Vatican, etc.
That's right. Well, it started with my studies of architecture, actually. I'm an engineer in constructions and in architecture. And I worked for a few years. Before that, I realized that God was calling me to something different. At the time, I had a girlfriend, had a wonderful career, had a beautiful car. I thought I had everything, but then discovered something important was lacking. And that something important was the way in which I responded to my relationship with God. And I discovered there's only one way to be happy in this life, and that was to be a priest. And then did my studies in Rome. During my studies, I had different tasks, and indeed, as you said, I was also a member of an advisory board about the internet and the way it had to be built up in the Vatican. And during that time, I was already involved in discussions with young people. As I was appointed in the parish after my ordination, I continued a bit of studies. I tried to link theology and science, trying to speak about the relationship between architecture and liturgy, the way a church building is being used and helps us to find God. Then in the parish, my main task was young people, and that is the origin of Tweeting with God. And in that way, I still continue to speak to young people and be in touch with them.
And that's great. And you know, we can follow you on Twitter and use the hashtag TWGod. And how else would you recommend for people to connect with these contemporary topics? Also get a copy of the book.
Yes, you can get the book, but the book is not just on itself. There's a website connected to it with more reading information.
Great.
And the idea is that you use the app, the application for the mobile phone, to make, as it were, a picture of the page where you are, and it connects you directly to the correct page on the internet. So you don't have to look up all the different references to the catechism and to the UCAT, but the app will do that for you. It helps you to go directly to the information. And then we are on the social media. You can find us on Facebook and on Twitter and on Instagram, always under the name Tweeting with God. And you can also follow myself on Twitter at Don Michael Remery, or on Facebook. And again, Michael Remery is the way you find me. There's different ways in which people can connect to us, and we'd be very happy to welcome you in our network.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we encourage everyone to do it. And thank you so much, Father Michael and Father Michel, to be with us today, our first tweet on the boat, and we were excited about that. Hopefully you were as well.
Yes, it's great. I'm very happy. I did have to find a quiet place somewhere because there's many boats passing here, but I hope everything worked well technically as well.
Oh, beautiful.
Thank
Perfect
you.
Skype.
Thank you
you so much.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.